according to the United Nations, the best country in the world to live in.
Vlogul de astăzi o să fie puțin diferit. Acum îl aștept pe Svein, pe soțul mamei mele, și mergem să îi iau un interviu primarului de aici din Vardal. Primarul este foarte bun prieten cu Svein și Svein l-a întrebat: domne, uite, băiatul soției mele călătorește și face videouri de călătorie, ai fi interesat să-ți iau un interviu? Și omul a zis: da, cum să nu, haide să facem chestia asta. Când mi-au spus: băi, vezi că am vorbit cu el și e de acord, eram așa, nu știam exact ce o să-l întreb, ce o să vorbim, mi-am făcut așa o serie de întrebări, dar sunt foarte, foarte, foarte curios și sunt foarte excited să văd exact cum se va desfășura această discuție. Țin să vă spun că tot interviul evident o să fie în engleză, deci în continuare o să aveți ocazia să vedeți acel video despre care vă spuneam în trecut că o să fie 99% în engleză. Haideți să vedem ce se întâmplă.
You have been here sometimes. Is it your second time or is
Well, I've been my first time here in 2014.
Yeah.
In summer, then I came here in October 2014, and I think this is my third time.
Third time.
Third time, yeah.
Okay. Norway is very informal.
Okay.
Few people,
Yeah.
and distances are short between administration and politics and inhabitants.
Okay.
So I get a lot of visitors at my office.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's very. I think that is a very huge advantage for the people,
Okay.
and for people like me as well. Distances are short between mental distances.
Yes.
When I go shopping,
Yeah.
always one or two or four persons in the shop pats me on the shoulder.
Yeah.
I have to discuss a problem with you.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very nice thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice because you have this like very close relationship to,
Yes.
to the people here,
Yes.
and you can understand their problems because
Yeah.
it goes to a private level. For me, I imagine this if I go to Bucharest,
Yeah.
like 2 million people.
I've been to Bucharest. I've seen
I know
Nicolae
about that.
Ceausescu's palace.
You've seen it, yeah?
It's bigger than mine.
When have you been to Bucharest?
When I was a young student, I went to on a holiday. On a holiday with a lot of political content.
Okay.
By an organization, a social democratic organization in Norway. I've always been a social democrat. And we were on a traditional holiday in Neptune.
In Neptune?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and we traveled 14 days for a fortnight, and we traveled to Bucharest for 3 days. We went to Constanza.
Okay.
There was a I can't remember the name, I'm afraid, it's nearly 40 years ago, but there was a very small town, 10 kilometers or so south of Neptune, on the Black Sea coast.
On the Black Sea.
It was a very, very nice place.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
liked the place.
Yeah, okay.
Bucharest, there was this huge, big earthquake a
I
couple
see.
of years before.
So you've been... okay. Do you remember exactly the year?
It was in 1978. I was there in 78.
70, so this was exactly 1 year. The earthquake was in 77.
Okay,
So exactly 1 year.
So I remember the ruins.
You could see the ruins?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, Romania, I traveled a lot in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And Romania, of course, then was a much poorer country than Norway.
Yeah.
But people were friendly. Very friendly people. And I do also remember as a rather frightening thing to us, because Mr. Ceausescu, the dictator,
Yeah.
he had his holiday resort in Neptune.
Okay, yes.
And after 10 days or so, suddenly everything for the tourists are closed down at 10 o'clock. And
Yeah.
we started asking, what happens? All restaurants, all bars, all the bowling halls,
Yeah.
everything. What has happened? Mr. Ceausescu is in town. And suddenly a lot of police,
Okay.
and at times streets and roads were closed.
Closed, yeah.
And then some sort of a car parade or something.
Yeah, exactly. For him, yeah,
And
exactly.
that was very, very unexpected and very unusual to a Norwegian.
Okay, okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting to speak to somebody that is not Romanian and can tell me things about my country that I don't know because I wasn't born back then, so I don't know the things back then.
Because you know everything about the Cold War, I'm certain.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And the Iron Curtain.
Okay.
From my political position, this was a very challenging time for Europe because Europe belongs together.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was interested in Eastern Europe, and your country then, Mr. Ceausescu, had some kind of status in Western Europe.
Yeah.
Because he was considered to be fairly independent from Moscow.
Well, yes.
His foreign policies.
Yes.
And that misled many of us to believe that the same liberalism that sort of colored his foreign policy also colored the inland
of Romania.
Yeah, but it did not. And we also saw this huge palace.
You've been also inside or only from
Not
the outside?
Inside.
You've only
From
seen
the
it from
outside.
the outside.
But again, to a Norwegian,
Yeah.
it seemed very special.
What did you think when you saw that when you saw that the people's house is called?
It
House
was
of the People.
appalling to me, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, in Scandinavia and in Norway, I think more than any other Scandinavian countries, many of us believe in a certain equality between people. And this huge, enormous palace, and there was a lot of poverty to see in Bucharest as well.
Okay.
So that part of the society, Romanian society, did not appeal to a Scandinavian. It was, you sort of, it makes you think. And of course, we knew about it, but when you are there and see it, it makes an impression. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Like I said, I've never thought that I would find out things about my country from somebody that has been here like many years ago, but that's very nice.
Well, anyway, that's my view.
Yeah, that's
yours might be different.
That's why we're here. Yeah. How do you get to become a mayor?
There's an election. There's always an election.
Okay.
And then you have to win that election.
Of course.
First, you have to be nominated by your party. And in my case, it's a big party, and in elections we normally get about half the votes in this town.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you see the map on my door, my office door,
yeah,
there are two big mayor parties in Norway.
Yes.
The red municipalities on the map. That's the Social Democratic Party, which I belong to.
Okay.
Arbeiderpartiet, the Labour Party.
Labour Party.
Labour Party. The green ones are small population municipalities.
Okay.
And that is one of the Farmers' Party in Norway.
The Farmers' Party.
Yeah, okay. That was their tradition. They call themselves the Centre Party. This is my fourth period as a mayor. So
this is your fourth time. Yeah. How long does the period last? 4 years?
4 years.
4 years. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been in office for a long time, and I've been a vice mayor before that.
Okay.
And I've been doing politics in this town for more than 30 years.
Okay.
I like it. I'm born into it, sort of. It is a lifelong interest, and I'm local. I'm the fifth generation in my family in this town, so we belong here, sort of.
Oh, okay. So your family comes from here.
Yeah.
Very
on
nice.
My father's side, I'm the fifth generation. On my mother's side, I'm the third generation from here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know the town.
You have deep roots here.
Yeah, deep roots, and I know the people.
Okay.
And I think that might be an advantage in certain ways because we understand each other, and I'm very sort of related to the town and the people. to the businesses and to our way of life. And I was born in a family where I should say the interest for society and for public matters was strong. So I've been brought up to it, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. So my background is I'm a university man. I'm educated as I'm educated in social sciences, in history, geography, and in languages, English first of all.
Okay, yeah.
So I worked in, for instance, in colleges, and before I was a politician.
Before,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I have a university degree, highest grade as they call it in Norway. Then it's called a master's now.
Yeah.
I'm too old to be a master. It was called the titles were different.
The
at
titles
that
back
time.
then, yeah, I understand.
So today my university degree would be between a master degree and a PhD.
A PhD, yeah,
Yes,
doctorate.
yes, yes.
Okay, well, it's very interesting that you're saying that you're like from the social democrats, because me, like coming from my country, I'm going to be completely honest, I'm totally against social democrats in my
Okay.
country, totally against it, you
Okay,
know.
yeah.
I've always been more on the right side, but
Okay.
as I've read about Norway, the difference in political view here in Norway between the parties
Yeah.
isn't as big as it is
No.
it is my country.
Definitely not. I suppose.
Very,
Yeah.
very like similar things.
This,
very close.
the differences between political parties in Norway are much smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that you were born here, like you said, you can understand the people,
Yeah.
you know the people. What would you say that at the moment is like, I don't know, biggest problem or biggest concern, or Norway's biggest problem right now? Let's take it on
Yeah.
a bigger level.
You know, this town differs from the neighboring town. The way that in my town we live from businesses and enterprise. The public sector is
Okay.
fairly small in this town. It's much bigger in the town just south of us, Levanger, and north of us, Steinkjer.
Okay.
So we are business people, and we live. Our livings, our incomes, come mainly from the industrial sectors, from manufacturing industries, construction industries. For instance, the oil business, oil and gas business, is big in this town. We are one of the towns in Norway that depends most of all on oil and gas incomes.
Okay.
So this is very challenging, because the overall challenge in a town like this is to see that we have a competitive situation. In my town, the local enterprises, the big companies and the small companies, need to win jobs to give incomes to people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. 75% of all income of all breadwinners, of all people in my town, live from these parts of things. And in this town we have to be careful about the businesses, because we live from them. And we have to large part of my job is to sort of help arrange good conditions for businesses.
Okay.
In the town just north of us, more than 60% of the people belong to the public sector. South of us, about the same amount, about 60% of the people live in the public sector. They work in public hospitals, public schools, things like that. These sectors are smaller here. Schools are good. Schools we do have, but south of us it's a university town. Yeah.
Okay.
So that the amount of people the number of people, the part of the percentage of employees, they belong to more secure jobs than we do.
Yeah.
Because, believe it or not, it might be strange to hear it, but it's true. The distance to Trondheim, third biggest city in Norway, is 90 kilometers.
90. Okay.
To Steinkjer in the north, it's 30 kilometers. The strip from Trondheim to Steinkjer, in which we are in the middle, 120 kilometers, is one of the most densely populated areas in Norway.
Okay.
300,000 people. If you go by car 30 minutes from this town, you're able to reach, in a circle, 65,000 people. In Norway, that is a lot.
Okay, so this is
Believe it or not, that is a lot in Norway.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. It's not a lot in Germany.
It's not a lot, I think, anywhere else in the world, more or less, to be honest.
It's a lot in central Sweden as well. And you have to go nearly 1,000 kilometers north to find one bigger population cluster. And until 1905, Sweden was the boss in Norway. Norway was not a colony, but Sweden was definitely in that union. Sweden was the boss. The Swedish king, Swedish government, and things like that, okay?
Yes.
We live on the border to Sweden.
Yeah.
45 kilometers and then you're in Sweden.
Yes, I know, we've been to Sweden.
Norway was a fairly poor country. Agriculture, but again, the long coastline, heavy fisheries and fishing industries, and the trade ships, you know, always been many of them in Norway, of course. A lot of a sailing tradition, you know. But then Norway has a lot of hydroelectric power, and the technological development around the turn of that century, when the 1900s came into being. A lot of foreign capital, and also after, as time passed, inland capital, focused on building energy, hydroelectric energy, water power.
Okay.
Yeah, and that created the basis for heavy industries, metal industries, furnaces, okay? Yeah. Which brought export incomes to Norway.
Okay.
So the urbanization and the rapid development of some heavy industries started changing Norway.
Okay.
But Norway was still a very poor country, and the big crisis, you know, the tough 30s, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Norway was badly affected by them. And then the war, 5 years of occupation by Germany. But after the war, new politics, the war united a class-ridden Norway. The people, the population, gathered to a huge degree against the Germans. And after the war, after the Second World War, from 1945 and on, the main public focus and for many people, it was important to stick together. Small country in the outskirts of the world, 3.5 million people then.
Yeah.
We have to be united in these new worlds. And then Norway started a huge development, new politics. My party came into power 1945, and the end of the war. The Marshall Aid from America helped in the beginning, and there was a very tough focus on building up manufacturing industries. So the 1950s and 1960s, Norway developed, building up export industries,
Okay.
and there were the political side of it, a fairly equal distribution of wealth, so that Norwegians felt that I got my part of this growth.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah, of course.
So this is the start of the welfare age. Rather heavy taxation to get incomes to the state, to get incomes to produce welfare for the people,
Of course.
from the state and from the local municipalities. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Then, around 1970, the day before Christmas Eve in 1969, just before the 1970s,
Yes.
oil was discovered in the North Sea.
This is exactly my next question. Was when did oil come into picture? You know.
Yeah.
This is...
But I have to give you the background.
Yeah, of course.
Because
of course.
in the late 1960s, Norway was not any longer a poor country. It was by no means as rich as today, but through the 1950s and 1960s, I am a social democrat, I believe in this, good politics, and this huge growth after the war, for the first 25 years or something. Everything was lacking, you know, in Europe. You have to build up Europe.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever you produced, you could sell it at good prices. So this enormous growth, politics that handled the growth, that spread good welfare to all people, made everybody believe strongly in the system.
Okay.
So my party was elected and re-elected and re-elected and re-elected and re-elected. And little by little, the differences between parties closed
Okay.
down. And there was the degree of consensus in politics strengthened period by period. Then oil was discovered. I was a teenager, and I don't think really that we understand the importance of it at first, because it was not that big, but it was on the border to the German, Danish and English sector in the North Sea.
Okay.
Ekofisk, the first oil field. But through the 1970s, Norway changed a lot, because oil is an international industry. We didn't have any knowledge, practically any knowledge in Norway, so we had to rely on foreign investors, on the big oil companies,
Okay.
the big drilling companies, the big international industry, and that was dominated by America, of course. That time, not only Americans, but many Americans.
Mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then oil field after oil field was discovered, and in Norway we believe strongly in national control. So I think we should be very grateful to the central governments during the 1970s and 80s, because of the way they built up Norwegian control. The natural resources belong to the people. This is a map of the most central oil fields on the coast.
Okay.
And it started down here
Okay.
in around 1970, and it spread, and this is very high north, but there is tremendous fortunes
There.
as well.
Okay.
And we are situated here.
Yeah, this is what I was searching. So
This
you
is
have your Trondheim.
Vardal here.
Okay.
Yeah. And this local town and community changed
Yeah.
in the beginning of the 1970s from a traditional town in central Norway, a trading town, a lot of people working in small industries, things like that, to a town dominated by heavy industries and strong enterprises. So we have been very dependent on the oil and later the gas business, the combination. Now it's called oil and gas industries, you know.
Okay.
We are building platforms, drilling for drilling, for production, and the manufacturing sites in my town, Verdal, are the third biggest industrial field in Norway. According to the United Nations, the best country in the world to live in.
Yeah, actually I read about that.
7 or 8 times over the last 11 or 12 years, we have been nominated as the best country in the world to live in.
The most important question, what's the thing with alcohol here? I want you to, I'm really like kindly asking you to explain that to me. Why is alcohol, first of all, so expensive? And why can I go to like a 7-Eleven and buy like a bottle of whiskey? Why here, why do you have here these Vinmonopol stores?
Yeah, that is because of health concerns. There is strong evidence through research and what you can see in many countries, statistics on health, for instance, that there is a strong connotation between the average consumption of alcohol and the level of alcohol-related diseases.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. For instance, in the big wine countries,
Yeah.
you find a lot of more liver diseases, cancer diseases, throat, everything that is related to alcohol. So in Norway, the idea, and in Scandinavia in general, the idea that you should make alcohol so expensive that it affects the level of alcohol that people want to drink.
Yeah, so people have to think twice like before buying.
Before you spend too much money on it.
So I believe that is the same idea goes with the cigarettes and with smoking.
Same as tobacco.
Same as tobacco.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting because, like I said, last week, exactly when I arrived here, I made a video about the cost of living in Norway.
Yeah.
So I just walked around some shops, you know, some stores, and then I went to the Vinmonopol, you know, and I just compared the prices there. Compared to, of course, it's not a fair comparison, but just as an idea to compare prices with prices in my country. And also, like I said, it's very. I think that Norway, from my point of view, it's very interesting, not only geographical wise, because everybody that I talked about tell me, go to Norway, amazing landscapes, aurora borealis, all these things, you know. But also from a social point of view, it's very nice to, I don't know, to just travel around here, if you can afford it. Because
it's expensive.
Next week I'm going to Oslo, and I will stay there 5 days, you know, and I was just searching for hotels. Unbelievably expensive, you know, unbelievably.
There's been an oil crisis for some years. The oil price has halved.
Yeah.
Has been cut by 50%. And that affects a lot of people. Unemployment is rising in especially the southwestern part of the country. And the number of Norwegians that do take their holidays at home is increasing. But again, not many populations in the world buy as many flight tickets per year as Norwegians. And it's long country, a lot of it is inland, but many Norwegians have holiday flats in Spain.
Spain, yes.
In Italy.
Yes. And also many Norwegians go to Greece.
Oh yeah,
many Norwegians.
Many.
And it's so cheap to go from here to Greece.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably cheap, like direct flights.
And to the continent, many people go to Britain.
To Britain, okay.
And the traveling figures to the United States, for instance, all around the world. Life has changed tremendously in this country. For instance, I can give you a short story on that. You come from Thailand.
Yes.
I and my wife were in Thailand in the weekend. Could never have happened 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the reason we went there is that one of our nieces,
Okay.
yeah, on my wife's family side, was going to get married.
In Thailand.
And she and her husband, now then, from Kristiansand in the southern part of Norway,
Okay.
decided to have their wedding in Thailand.
Ah, okay.
He is from the southern part of Norway. She is from a town some kilometers further north here.
Okay.
They decided to have their wedding in Thailand. Could never have happened when I was a young man. Could never have happened 20 years ago. And when they invite friends and family to their wedding,
Yeah.
more than 40 persons, friends, families on both sides, come to Thailand
Okay.
to take part in a wedding.
That's amazing. Very nice.
That is one of the examples that might tell you that
Okay.
Norway changes. I have to take care
Yes.
of the...
Of course, I just want to finish this.
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much for accepting to this video. Like I said, you're the first person from a local administration, and I'm very grateful. And thank you again, sir.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking to me. And it's interesting to listen to your experiences. And best of luck as you go on as Globetrotter.
Ok, thank you. A trebuit să întrerupem interviul așa foarte rapid pentru că avea o întâlnire. Faza tare e că eu în momentul în care am aflat că o să vin aici, am știut că o să am o oră la dispoziție și mă gândeam că o să termin, nu știu, în 15-20 de minute maxim, dar lucrurile s-au lungit foarte mult pentru că omului chiar îi place să vorbească și am vrut să profit de acest moment super mult. Foarte interesant, foarte interesant. Sper că ați aflat lucruri ok, sper că ați avut răbdare să vă uitați la acest video. Ok, acesta a fost și vlogul de astăzi. Eu vă mulțumesc foarte mult că v-ați uitat la mine și nu uitați că vă iubesc. La revedere, pa, pa!